It's just my passion. Music's been the one thing that I'm always been into from I was 12 or 13. I never stopped buying vinyl. I've always bought it, and I just felt that Belfast was lacking just a good independent record store, and you know it'd be foolish of me to say that there's not a financial element to what I'm doing, but it's more about passion than it is about money. Well, I think in the last 2 years that the statistics show that I think in 2012 there was a 28% increase in the sales of vinyl in the UK, and that was followed up in 2013 with a 43% increase, which is phenomenal when you consider that CDs are going the opposite direction. But it is a niche market. What we stock is not what you're going to find in CDs in Tesco's or somewhere like that there, but the people who buy what we stock prefer to buy it on vinyl. They prefer something that's slightly more tangible. You've got artwork which is 12 by 12 instead of 3 inches by 4 inches on a CD cover, but it seems to be important to them. It's all about sound, man. It's having the right amp and the right set of speakers, and they'll give you a sound that CDs just can't give you because they compress the sound too much to get them onto a CD, and that's even worse for MP3. You know, it's compressed even further, and you're losing some of the things in the range. And I just love it, man. I've always loved it, and I've always loved that 12-inch sleeve. Even people now who don't own record players buy vinyl to put on their wall, to hang a record up. What you'll find with record shops is they sort of hug the periphery of the city because they can't afford the high street renting rates. So if you can find somewhere that makes it affordable, I do think, I don't believe I'm ever going to get rich from this shop, but I do think that it can sustain itself and possibly grow the stock. And there's only there's going to be 3 of us in total, 2 full-time and 1 part-time, and I don't see why it can't. Certainly the start tells me that it can. Sort of filing and what have you. There's virtually no support from the local commerce divisions of your councils. They bring you in and give you a class on how to run a business, but there's no real support beyond that. I think anybody that thinks that you start up with grants and stuff is probably fooling themselves. The other thing for a small business like this is when we talk to supplier wouldn't even consider giving you credit when you first start off. So everything you see in the shop's been bought and paid for. We own everything that we have in stock. It's probably the disadvantage we're at from the larger HMVs and chains, but to be honest with you, at least I know if I decide to close that door, I owe nobody any money. One of the things that we had to do, and it possibly isn't mine or Darren's tastes, we had to be sure to bring in plenty of metal. For me, Belfast has never really moved on from its love of metal, and I'm talking back to the late 70s, early 80s here, but metal has moved on. What we have is with companies like Southern Lord, and it is split into genres like doom and stoner, and I mean there's stacks and stacks of different genres of metal now, but we sell loads of it. Soundtracks, like the John Carpenter soundtracks for 70s horror films, even the sort of Fabio Frizzi, the Italian horror soundtracks, they're selling absolutely shed loads at the moment. One of the things that we wanted to do when we set up was we wanted to provide something that wasn't readily available. That's why our metal is a wee bit more left to centre, and our independent releases are probably again hugging the margins, and they're more unusual. I think there are places where you can buy your Beatles reissues. There are places where you can then also buy second-hand stock, but I don't believe we're in competition with either of them. We have a very small second-hand section, but the plan for the shop is to eventually force that out and have totally new stock. When we are getting youngsters through the door, they're probably picking up from their parents' collections. And coming in, and we've sold a few things like the Velvet Underground, and we've sold some Suicide and things that you wouldn't expect to sell to a 16-year-old going out the door, but they're obviously picking up from their parents. We had one wee girl in from Ballymena, and she came and she bought 3 brand new release albums, and that's really encouraging because it tends to be 99% middle-aged males in the shop. So when she came to the counter, we actually said to her, it's great to see a young girl coming in and buying records, and she said that there's some other shops she visits and they tell her that she's the only girl who goes in there too. So up till last year, I kind of was on the buyer side of Record Store Day. I was lucky enough last year to spend it in Glasgow and go to my friend's shop he owns Monorail in Glasgow, and I saw it from the other side because I see how important it is for shops. He basically described it as their 13th month of the year, because he said that the only time they make money in the shop, clear money, is probably Record Store Day and Christmas. Otherwise they're surviving like everybody else, and I foresee that probably being the case for us. It will be that just shot in the arm that could keep us through the lean months. And I think that's the way to view it. I think a lot of people get hung up on the fact that the stock's very, very limited, and if you bring something out that's only 500 copies, it's very difficult to get that to everyone who wants it. You'll get it to the people keenest to get it, and unfortunately some of those people then take it straight to eBay and charge ridiculous amounts for it. But people should remember that this is Record Store Day. It's that shot in the arm that keeps a lot of the independents going. One of the things that they changed last year was they allowed shops to open at 8 o'clock in the morning, because you probably people came from 5, 6 in the morning. I know certainly some of the local shops have had that. What we would intend to do is get the rush out of the way by lunchtime, and then we're going to have some in-stores, and hopefully we have something fairly large in the pipeline, but we're going to have a few bands playing in the shop on the Saturday afternoon, and we would encourage people to come along and see the bands and just hang out.